Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius, conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Ramsey!
Marshall, such a pleasure to see you yet again, and
Oh.
and your friend Michael Scott. For those who are just listening,
Oh,
you have
yes.
you have a little guest behind you.
Yes, he's the regional manager at Dunder Mifflin. Yeah, so, when I think of great bosses, think of great coaches, I always think of Michael Scott. The least caring, least empathetic person on the planet. Which brings us to today's story.
Yes.
So excited. I actually had dinner with one of our two listeners. So beyond
Awesome.
excited. And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, wait, I could write that off as a business expense.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I digress. So I sit down and it's me and our faithful listener. For anonymity's sake, let's just call him Mark B-Butt. So I'm sitting down with Mark B-Butt, and his wife tells me the story. So yeah, Mark, Mark's coming in the house, every now and then he'll come in, he's got his earbuds listening, and then, like a good wife, she'll, work to, engage him in some sort of conversation. And he's like, shh. Well, I'm almost done listening to Mark and Mike. And I'm like, I just got a little tear. Like maybe
Bless you, Mark. Bless you.
Yeah. Some asbestos maybe got in my eye. I teared up a little. It was a beautiful thing to hear. So, and then we're having dinner. What's new in your life, kind of thing. And Mark shares with me the story that he's worked at this company. It's a very prestigious, well-known insurance company. You'd all know the name if we said it.
Mm.
And he's worked there for a number of years, and he's leaving. He's like, yeah, turning my resignation. I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else. And I'm like, all right. So, you're going to be a long haul trucker, offshore oil drill rig worker. What are you going to do?
Right.
And he goes, I'm going to do the exact same thing, only for this other insurance company. I'm like, headhunting, right? Yeah, big boost in income. He goes, no, I'm actually leaving and it'll be less money.
Wow.
So you're leaving in the company that you're established with, you've got tenure with, that you've been with it for a while, and you're going to go do the exact same thing for another company for less money. And he's like, exactly. I'm like, brilliant career strategy. Wait a minute, what am I missing here? And then he proceeded to tell me, and his wife, Ann B-Butt, she's had, some health issues. And like I said, he's been working a number of years, had the same supervisor for a number of years. And it dawned on him at some point that the supervisor doesn't even know his wife's name. And and he had shared, some of the, that he'd had to take some time off work and stuff, help his wife with some medical issues. And at no point had the supervisor ever inquired about, how's the spousal unit doing?
Yeah.
I don't know her name, but I could inquire about her, your spousal unit's medical health.
Yep.
And he said that had never occurred. And it was at that point that it dawned on him that I'm not working for the right person. And he made the decision to leave, which, as we all know, the momentum of being in a place. All right, this is an established company, successful. There's it's very stable.
Yeah.
And so, an object that in motion tends to stay in motion. And so it'd been very easy for him to continue on the path that he's on, but he took the huge step of reaching out, finding another place, and then making the decision to leave.
Boy.
And felt really good about it.
Yeah.
Which hats off to him for
that had to have been freeing.
Oh yeah, it had to have been, right? When you know you don't fit.
Yeah.
That I'm in a place that doesn't align with my values.
Yeah.
And we talk about this all the time. Yeah, you want to find a place whose organizational values align with your personal values.
Yep.
And if we don't, there's this uncomfortable sense of I don't really belong here.
Yeah.
The people around me think is important is not what I believe is important, and that gets uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the extreme example of losing a really, really good hire. It's funny, Mike, I just published a blog post this morning, kind of related to this. The CEO of Hireology, which helps dealerships hire people, had some sort of dire predictions for what's about to happen on the sales floors, because it's about to get harder to sell again. It's about to get harder to sell again. We've had the ability to be order takers for a while because of limited supply and so on. But we at some point demand will be less than supply, and it'll be sales professionalism that carries the day. And he said, if all we've done is offer money, we're about to lose a bunch of people. So if you're like this manager in another industry, a well-known company, and making lots of money, get guaranteed, and you got great compensation, there better be something else on the table besides that, or the dysfunctions are going to catch up with you. I think the number, I tried to pull it up as we were getting going. I think the number is for the big quit, the Great Resignation. In September, we had 4.1 million Americans quit a job. And by the way, job openings are up to 10.7 million. So we got a lot of openings. There's a lot of opportunities for folks to leave and go elsewhere in our industry or elsewhere, whatever your industry is. What we're talking about today is a really serious topic.
So Mark Bebutt will be excited to know he's part of the 4.1 million folks who had a perfectly good job and then changed jobs. And so, yeah, these aren't the folks that are on the sidelines getting a job. These are folks who had a job and now they're moving to a different company.
Yep.
And so this is huge. And I think you're right. When we say sales is going to get harder, for those people not in sales, it may shock you to know that things were pretty easy for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've got two widgets, and I got 10 people wanting those two widgets.
Yep.
Yeah, my sales expertise was
Right.
not really the question here. It was, who's going to pay full price first?
Yep.
And whoever that was, and if that person didn't want to pay full price that I was talking to, the person behind them would gladly take said widget. So now we had this as a podcast, the we used to meeting.
Yep.
So we had this as we used to follow up with unsold prospects. So we used to prospect. Right. We used to generate traffic and interest in our products, and all this stuff is going to have to be done again. And I'm going to do that in a place that fits my values and that I believe cares.
And meanwhile, flip that around, right? We as managers used to do quite a few things to engage our employees, and we really need to start doing that again if we've dropped some of that. I think the really big one there, and this is where I go with my blog post is, show me that you care. Show me that you give a rip. Do know my spouse's name. Do know how many kids I have. Do know my hobbies. Do something that shows you've got some sort of connection with me, so that we have a relationship. Or it's much easier to leave someone who is treating you like you don't have a relationship, someone who's treating you like just a means to an end instead of a valued person in their life that's part of their team. And that probably is a good place as any to talk about Gallup, right?
Oh yeah. So Gallup's got their measure of employee engagement survey, the Q12. So there's only 12 questions on this survey, and with these 12 questions, Gallup being a polling organization, they're really good at this. they've distilled it down to 12 questions that tell you how engaged your employees are.
And it's predictive, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing that can tell, if, you know, that based on your answers to this question, your organization's, your employees' answers to this question, I can make a pretty good prediction on how many people you're going to lose, how often they come in late, how often they take sick days, et cetera, et cetera. This is a pretty decent measurement of how much you're actually getting out of your people, if you want to put it crassly.
Oh, yeah. How engaged are they? And in turn, how much of their what we call discretionary effort are they giving?
That's it.
Right. There's effort I have to give, the minimum I have to do to maintain my job. The excellence comes from when they give discretionary effort, that little bit extra that makes the customer experience better, that makes the client happier, that generates more revenue and income and those types of things. So
that's it.
So 12 questions, you know, some of them, you know, as you would expect. I know what is expected of me at work.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty important. All right. But a question that is surprising that's on here, you know, there's very, plain questions like that, basic questions. But one of the key questions that speaks to what we're talking about is my supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person.
Yep.
That's it. You answer that question, good chance. You're engaged. You're not planning to leave. You're not seeking opportunities. Maybe you're even defending off other opportunities.
Yeah.
Every great employee in America now is being targeted.
Right.
If you're really proficient at what you do, there's a good chance somebody's trying to woo you away.
100%.
And if you're just a good worker, period, it may not even be in the field that you're currently in.
Right.
Yeah, I know you're doing that, but you're awesome. Would you come over and do this completely different thing for us?
Yeah.
We can teach you that because, we see the type of person that you are, type of employee, team member that you are.
That's
so
right.
My supervisor or someone at work, and this is an interesting word, Gallup picks their words carefully, seems to care about me as a person.
Yep. We're not even going to say for sure they do,
Yeah.
but they sure seem to.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm pretty maybe, yeah, kind of they do. Yeah, excellent. That's a win.
That's enough. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take that. Yeah. So yeah, they seem to care about me as a person. And we've talked about, in the old days, we used to talk about, you leave your troubles at the door, leave your home life at the door, you show up to work, and how ridiculous that was.
Yeah. Well, and it never happened.
Right. Never happened. Yeah. That's part of the ridiculousness. So, when you hire somebody, you're hiring the whole person. And if they're struggling at home, they're probably going to struggle at work, and vice versa. So, just this opportunity. So thinking about, we've got, we've talked about positive interview questions. Here are some questions that you could sit down and ask your team member. All right. So, what's important to you? What are your career goals? What are your personal goals? Things like that. And, we've taught this for a number of years. One thing that is different here now is, I sit down with a manager and I say, all right, so do you know these things about your people? And they go, absolutely. I know what's important to them. I know their personal and career goals. Fantastic. So when was the last time you guys talked about this? Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a couple of years. Well, and then the question I always ask is, did your priorities change in the last 2 years coming, through the pandemic? And, we saw a huge uptick in the sale of bicycles and RVs, and our national parks were full. People reprioritize their lives.
Yep.
Have you talked to your employees recently to find out what's important to them, what are their career and personal goals? Because there's a good chance that maybe they had the same epiphany a lot of other people did, and that's changed.
That's exactly it. And it's interesting that, one of the Q12 questions also has to do with growth, right? I've had opportunities at work to learn and grow. Mm-hmm. And another one about someone's talked to me about my progress, right? So again, those are ways to show, not tell, And I suspect that those are priorities that are going to stick no matter what, right? Wherever they're at, they want to grow. They want to do better and continue to excel, whatever that means to them, right? Whatever growth means to them, that employee. And that's a priority that's probably going to stick. But you better show it instead of tell it, right? You better go have that conversation and sit down, because there's the kind of thing that's going to demonstrate care. That's why somebody seems to care as your manager, because they're having those kind of conversations with you. What are your priorities now? How do you want to grow? What is it that you'd like to see happen?
Well, and I think the supervisors, managers, leaders, they always tell me, well, it's not that big a deal. It's just me. They talk
Huge.
about that when it comes to recognition and
Yep.
caring and things like that. It's like, no, it's you in a role, and in a role as a leader.
Yep.
These are the things they know you're the busiest person in your department. You're the busiest person in
Right.
your company. And if you carve out time to sit with me and talk about what's important to me, then that's the greatest investment you can make. Because I know that you could be in 100 different places talking about 100 different topics right now, and that you're the busiest person in the department. So your time is incredibly valuable, and you're spending it having this great conversation with me. So even if you're not good at the conversation, we can
No.
help you. We supply you with some questions. Even if you're not good at that, just carving out the time
Yep.
and spending with your people. And here's the bottom line. If you're not talking to your people, I guarantee you someone else is.
Yep.
They're asking them the same questions you should be asking. Right?
Yep.
Okay. So what's the best part of working there? Right?
Yep.
What's the most frustrating part of working there?
Mm-hmm.
You could change one thing about where you currently do, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
And these are all good recruiting questions.
Yep.
I'm going to surface your pain, and then my solution to your pain would be, come on over here.
Yep. Yep.
Run away from that. Come over here where it's all rainbows, unicorns, and
Yep.
pretty colors. So, yeah, people are having those conversations with your people, and yeah, it's imperative. It was always important, probably more important now than ever.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we're about to go into a recession, or your particular industry is about to hit a downward part of its cycle, man, you want the right people on the bus that are going to be those people that give discretionary effort, that are gonna go the extra mile to keep things afloat with you. So there's never been a better time to start having these conversations, or to restart having these conversations than right now.
Oh yeah. Well, and the most terrifying part of this is the bad people, the low performers in your organization will not leave.
Right.
Nobody's calling them. Right?
Right.
Nobody's headhunting them. And they're pretty sure they're in over their head anyway. So they're not going anywhere. They're sticking around.
I was working with a Fortune 10 corporation where one of the insiders, I was at a convention, and he was going through the lunch line with me, and he said, all the good people are leaving. This was during the Great Recession. He said the people at the top and the people at the bottom have left, and we have a bunch of middle managers who know how to navigate our corporate bureaucracy, because we're a big Fortune 10 company. It's painful, and we're stuck with mediocrity. Oh
Mm-hmm.
no, right? Oh no. And I
Oh
started to
yeah.
see, all these bad headlines for that particular company, and I realized, like, oh, I'm seeing they are reaping what they sowed with that one. So yeah, for goodness sake, if it's true for a Fortune 10 company with that many people, it's going to be true for your little organization with, your little department with, pick the team that you're talking about. But this is how life works right now, and you better go have some conversations.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and Gallup tells us this in another Gallup research report. When asked, great companies, when they looked at fantastic companies, high performing companies, they asked the managers, who do you spend 50% of your time coaching?
Yeah.
And they said, top performers.
Right.
Which is almost the opposite of what we typically tend to do, which is focus on the people underperforming or
That's
the
it.
chronic, issue type folks.
Yep.
Gallup says, yeah, if you're a top organization, you're spending 50% of your coaching time talking to your thoroughbreds, your horses, your producers. And you think, and the pushback I get from that so often is, well, I just let the horses run.
Well, they'll run all right.
Yeah, and then and we've talked about this, right? The first serious conversation I have with one of my horses is when they come up and tender their resignation.
Yep.
And I go, oh, well, I had no idea anything was wrong.
Yeah. And that's on you, Mr. Manager.
Yeah,
Miss Manager.
we haven't talked in a while. Or you might have picked up on those cues. So multiple reasons to do this in this changing world, this changing economy, this changing workforce. So if you need some help, let us know. We're happy to do that. We'll put a link to the positive interview coaching questions, and you can tackle those and see where these conversations take you. I think you might be surprised at how beneficial they are.
Speaking of help, Mike, we needed help with voiceover work. And it turns out that for decades, we have known a top voiceover artist with his own digital studio at home. And I just want to let him, as usual, close out our episode.
Take it away.
So go ahead and tweet that, or share it any other way you want. As always, there are no rights reserved, no trademarks, no copyrights. Share it if you want to. And join us next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.